This talk is mostly gonna be focusing on NSA slash equation group. I'm sure you guys have heard a lot of things about the equation group and Shadow Broker recently released a bunch of their, well, not recently, about a year ago, but recently it coming to light because of Eternal Blue and a lot of vulnerabilities were being used in the wild and exploiting and causing a lot of damage. So I want to take this chance to see if Equation Group and NSA, the U.S. National Security Agency, is there any sort of connection between those two, or if there isn't any at all. So let's get started. What is Equation Group? You guys might have heard of it. You guys might have not, but Equation Group is practically a highly sophisticated threat actor. Starting since 2001, some say they started a bit earlier. We found some evidence of that, but those early evidences are not as concrete as the one that we found since 2001. They only target Pacific victims, right? So they can go for espionage like attack. Yeah, there have been multiple attacks on the Middle East and some of our, partners and things like that, right? So they also are believed to have great resources as well as expertise on a nation state level. So this means they have um, people who are very, very intelligent, who are, they develop some, marvelous work in terms of computing, engineering, and as well as, probably a very, very huge amount of cash on hand because most of the attack do not have any sort of money involved. They don't steal money. They just have these attacks. Whether they're being paid by the client or whether they're being paid through some other mean, we don't know. But on these attacks itself, there's no there's not such thing as money being involved. And Kaspersky actually said that they are one of the most sophisticated cyber attack group in the whole world, right? So that just show how big Equation Group is. Uh, so how did we discover them and how did they come about? So Kaspersky set up this honeypot in the Middle East and make itself look like a target as much as possible. Make it look very important. Make it looks like there's something that other malware want to hit. And soon after, they were hit with multiple equation group malware as well as like four others malwares that no one knows about, but they were a lot also very sophisticated, right? And the reason I will go into this a bit later, but the reason we know that some of these were equation group malwares is because of something they love doing, and that is the negative constant signature in their uh, encryption routine. So we go that a little bit later. So what are their signatures, right? So Equation Group have very sophisticated CNC server as well as encryption algorithm. That's actually one of the reasons why they are named. The Equation Group is not their real name, but it's something Kaspersky actually came up with. And they were named that because they are really, really good at writing custom algorithm, right? And how their CNC server manage and all these sorts of things, require very sophisticated engineering, and that's why they were named Equation Group. They also have, like I said earlier, they have unique modified version of RC6, RC4, AES, as well as other cryptographic function and hashes, right? So they wrote some of their own things, and we know that it's not easy. Um, we also found that some of their naming the naming conventions, such as Equation Drug, Delta Fantasy, Triple Fantasy, Great Fish, Equation Laser, Emerald Thread, Eternal Blue, Educated Scholar. You get the idea. So let's move on. So about since the August of 2013, we seen this group name calling calling themselves shadow brokers, and they starting to release these manifesto and like archives of various exploits that they claim that was stolen from Equation Group. So Not only that, they were also trying to sell it off for the highest bidder. And after a while, since no one really paid attention to them and bid on it, they really decided to release it for free somewhere around last year's of 2016. They everybody suspect that the whole bidding thing was just some sort of attention grabbing, to trying to get more attentions, and then they will release the exploit. From the leak, however, we found that there were exploits that were extremely dangerous. There were zero-day exploits that were affecting literally all version of Windows or most version of Windows. Windows 2000s, somewhere around there, and it's affect up to Windows 10 today. So just from that, everybody should be able to figure out that this was a very dangerous O-Day exploit that were released, and just as we expected, not too long after we saw WannaCry, right, which was a ransomware that encrypts people's hard drive through the use of this Eternal Blue exploit. There were various others like crypto mining malwares that infect and turn the computer into a mining station, but WannaCry was the biggest one of all. And this also gave us another internal look into Equation Group and their malwares, as well as seeing if there were any similarity to NSA malwares and things like that. And from that, we found that there were multiple things that were lining up to what we would expect from NSA malwares and exploits, such as naming conventions, right? It's as you can see, internal blue, interior romance, things like that. We saw that exactly same naming convention in NSA. However, not the same word, but it's close enough. Uh, and a lot of other things that we will go into in the next few slides. So, where did Equation Group go wrong? Like, where did they messed up? And a lot of people actually look into this, and they said, a lot of things. These are just some of the things that are being discussed by actually the FBI and the CIA agents, right? So, we discovered from all these leaks that all their tools share the same code, right? So it's more of like a copy and paste where some of the exploits or some of the this is the basic framework of the malware and the exploits kind of just getting copied over one from another. So we're seeing the same, typo, the same spelling errors and things like that in their, let's say, their variable theme in an instance, right, across all their malware. So this was easily identifiable when it comes to equation group. They also use a custom RC5 routine on all their encryption algorithms. And this, as we go back earlier, this is not something new. They use their own custom. They also use negative constraints instead of a positive one where, since everybody used positive. And they also did not renew some of their CNC domain, which is how the client that were infected would connect back to the command control center. They this allow others researcher to purchase up these domains, point at their own machines, and was able to use that to see what kind of exploits are out there, what kind of malware are still spreading, how are they interacting with each other, and things like that. They also left behind a lot of developers' accounts name, variable names, and others fingerprints that were literally just being left in the source code, without being stripped off. On top of that, the PDB path were also not stripped, and there's a lot more, to go on into. Um, so here's, by now you guys probably questioning where's the link between the NSA and equation group, and the answer is literally everywhere, right? So both of them, especially the NSA, and equation group, are known for interdiction, right? Such as they were swapping out Cisco system routers with their own versions of a modified firmware as it moved through the mail. So they actually intercept the mail, they swap out the firmware, and they send it to whoever that the router is supposed to go to, And now that person router is now sending traffics and all sort of things back to the NSA as well as the equation group CNC center. They both also use a virtual file system, right? Which is something that's quite unique and we only see in the NSA region malware as well as the equation group malware. Uh, in Snowden leak, there were also documentations that point to this keylogger made by the NSA called Grok. And what do we found? We found exact same library being linked to in equation group. Equation group source code also references to a lot of NSA TAO's malware. TAO is their their uh, hacking unit, and equation group also use 4 zero-day vulnerabilities, two of which were then later used in Stuxnet by the NSA. To for I believe one of it was the USB one, the USB linkage one, right? And there's also payload encryption methods, such as going over the ID 1,000 times that was used in Greyfish, right? Which is made by Equation Group, and the exact same encryption algorithm was used in NSA Gauche, right, during their Stuxnet operation. So we can see a lot of similarities here, right? There's also something else that actually quite surprising is that Equation Group malware was able to rewrite 12 drives, like 12 entire drives category firmwares from all these, drive manufacturers such as Western Digital, Seagate Technologies, and things like that. And this is something that can only be categorized as an engineering marvel, right? This is this is you have to read the firmware from the actual hard drive itself and then rewrite it in a way where it works and nothing breaks. This is something that not anyone can do. This indicate huge amount of resources and expertise that Equation Group is currently having their possessions, and this could be just some very very well defined group, or this is the NSA themselves. So no one knows. On top of that, we also, like I said earlier, NSA Stuxnet that cripple Iran nuclear program. They use two zero-day exploits that Equation Group used in its worm Fanny, right? And this exploits were also was used in Flame, which is another malware, was used in a cyber espionage in Middle East countries. So these zero day were never released and no one really known about until much later. However, these two groups that have that let's say would have no connection to each other somehow find out at around the same times is quite unlikely. So is the NSA equation group? No one really know, right? So Kaspersky denied to name the qubit for whatever reason. They don't have enough evidence, or if there was some kind of censoring happening, no one knows. There's no official documentation that connects here. We have nothing hard, to connect these two groups. There's neither parties are staying out and making any claims. They were both quite quiet about their operations, so therefore no one knows for sure. Only time will tell. That is the end of my presentation. Thank you for watching.